Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. In this episode, we're taking a look at episode 4 of IBO. This one is called The Price of Life, and I guess that kind of makes sense as we get through it. But big shout out to those that, the supporters that joined me when we were watching it this past weekend. No one, the name of a particular that you might see in our live chat, has seen the show and kind of helped, brought up something. I'll bring it up later when we get there. Odd subtitle, but anyway, this is foreshadowing something that's going to occur further on that kind of solidifies the Tekadon situation. All right, so this guy shows up. It's like Toto or Tito or something. He seems like trouble, to be honest. I mean, he's got that Hitler mustache. Not that that means anything. I don't want to say that. Okay, and then the opening. You know what? By now, yes, it has clicked with me. It's a cool jam. All right, so one of the reasons I was saying this is one of, so far, like my favorite episodes in terms of world building is because of the world building it's doing. So these characters are on a specific plan, a specific mission, and what it is now that Orga's kind of turned what was the Christ security group into his own group, Tekadon. Now it's the idea, okay, how do we make money? But not only how do they make money, but how do they make a name for themselves? So it's just like, this guy's making use of this opportunity. It's very interesting. Just part of this group to survive on Mars, trying to make money, but also wanting to make a name for himself so they can continue to make money. But really, there is something else at play for those that have watched through this. Maybe there really is something for sure, but I think he's got another little subplot emerging here soon. But what's really cool is how they are kind of talking through, and this is really just world building of, like, I guess how it works from Mars, getting to Earth. So they have this orbital mass driver that probably helps somehow of launching objects or craft as they get out of the gravity of a planet. And then they got the Hakobune, like space station or something. Now, that was actually named after someone, and they brought them up later in the show. There might be more of that later. But the idea is kind of showing the, I guess, some of the things that are in the path of getting from Mars to Earth and vice versa. And so the idea here, which is very interesting, is that Gjallarhorn owns most of the route. So the idea is, if you're going to be traveling from Earth to Mars, Marth to Urs, okay, that's the new solar system in that I've made up, an alternate reality. But no, from Mars to Earth, then that would be just kind of that interesting dynamic here, because Gjallarhorn already tried to step in because Gudelia was at that Christ security group facility. And now if Tekadons want to make a name for themselves and head back to Earth with Gudelia, like to finish their mission, they're going to have to, I guess, potentially get through Gjallarhorn again. So that's what's really cool, how they've set up how the world works. So the sides where the conflict is, and it's very nicely spelled out here. Especially they brought up the idea that there are other groups, the routes are divided between territories, I guess is how they're talking about it. So that could be that there's other group sides, that where their conflict could take place. Okay, love to see these guys again. You know what? It's interesting because I brought up how they reminded me of those main characters from Legend of Galactic Heroes, which is really awesome. But no one, which is the name of a person, I promise, was telling me when we were watching this how, does this remind you of any other group? And I was like, wait a minute, Sharangarma, of course. In fact, that's the vibe I got from Legend of Galactic Heroes initially. But what would be interesting is how far the story takes that sort of idea of the relationship between Char and Garma and introduces it here, which I think would make sense. You would want a dynamic within a single group to make it interesting, just like we're kind of seeing here, where it's almost like this, I guess, officer that's reporting to them kind of doesn't want to spill the beans on what happened at the Christ security group facility where Gudelia was at. And I love just the talk of the machinery here, because they're talking about, taking parts from the newer mechs they have, but referring to like the older mech as this is a few hundred years old. I mean, I love that idea. I love the idea of coming across some sort of ancient mech. If anyone knows of any cool anime that maybe has that as an idea, and I think there are some, yeah, throw them in the comments below. I'd like to check that out. But I do like how they still have the scene where in the left, you can see where they've X'd out, the CGS, the Christ security group, and something else is going to be coming. Okay, and so as they're figuring out what to do next, because they want to be able to get to Earth, they're trying to figure out, is there someone that can help us out? Can we pull some favors? And Toto here happens to know someone, but I guess the idea is, can you really trust him? And I guess, yeah, there's someone that he could reach out to, but again, it seems like it's setting up another cool dynamic to occur. Anime food. Can we guess what any of these are? I can't. It looks like I see some lettuce. That's about it. And that's got a weird scene, but it seems like maybe there's more to Cadelia than we thought. It seems like, she just personally wanted to just speak on behalf of Mars and have independence from Earth, but it's like it's someone that she is kind of reporting to. And again, this is outside of her father and the Gallahorn, which seems to be trying to control her or find her. So it'll be very interesting to see what's going on here. And then we have a scene where Mikazuki asks out Kudelia. And so it's almost interesting, like, was this sort of stoic Gundam hero kind of changing? We'll see. But I have a name. I have a name for this type of protagonist. I want to call him a Guntagonist. This is a Gundam character who is young. They really kind of just really care about themselves, but for the people very close to them, they care for. But at the same time, they are complete badasses and usually can take out entire squadrons, and people are usually surprised that it's a child. Okay, this is where I'm getting like what vibes from, like, I don't know, Char's Counterattack, or just the idea. It's like Char when he's just in civilian clothing and he's just kind of out and then runs into Amuro. That's sort of what happened. Oh, yeah, that was in the original Gundam. So that's sort of what happens here, where you have your Sharma. Did I just come up with the Char and Garma coupling? No, someone had to have already. But since they're out here, it's like, okay, what's going to be going on exactly? Okay, so this goes by really quick, adds some more context to the story overall. Let's look at this. PD 0001, the nations of Earth and Mars accept the Vingolf Proclamation issued by Gallahorn. The interplanetary war that has spread destruction through the Earth sphere and the outer sphere comes to an end. This conflict, which has produced more casualties than any in history, is described in the proclamation as the Calamity War and is thereafter known by that name. With the cooperation of Gallahorn, Earth is organized into economic blocks in order to reconstruct the devastated Earth, I'm guessing sphere. It does this weird cutoff, and you have to be quick to play and pause. These are the African Union, the Oceanian, Federation, SAU, and AR. Okay, there we go again. The Arbrow Earth begins its post-war recovery under this new world order. Okay, so kind of like UC, with the one. They do that here with PD. Post-destruction? Post-disaster. I was close. Okay, on year two, at the Malta Conference, the four economic blocs include a treaty to divide and rule Mars. At the request, Gallahorn dispatches a large force to recreate the Martian government structure from scratch. Okay, so this is really then explaining all that was going on. It's like, who is Gallahorn? Who are these people on Mars? Why do they need independence from Earth? But I guess after this war that happened with the inner Earth sphere, the outer Earth sphere, I guess the idea was so much devastation. Let's start anew. Let's just send out one group to go and change everything. Okay, at 3, Gallahorn redraws Mars' national borders, and each city is placed under the control of one of Earth's economic blocks. The four economic force to recreate the Martian government structure from scratch. Blocks begin wholeheartedly interfering in Martian affairs, and Mars enters a lengthy colonial period. So 200 years later, Arbrow's government grants limited autonomy to its Martian territories. In 208, the Oceanian, I'm going to have trouble with that, Federation also recognizes the autonomy of its Martian territories. And then 236, last of all, the African Union also recognizes Martian autonomy. However, as Mars remains subject to harsh economic agreements, it is in fact entering an era of puppet governments. 312, on Mars, a movement begins to protest economic disparities with Earth. Okay, so this is leading up to where we are now. 314, in her speech at the Noakis July Assembly, Kudelia Ina Bernstein calls for economic independence from Earth, and cooperative movements emerge in every city. Again, amazing to get this sort of detail in a sci-fi story like this. It doesn't really matter that it's Gundam or not. I love it when sometimes in a show they can maybe take a few moments out of an episode to kind of paint the picture of the world they're in. And just, looking at a map like this, we can kind of see how future Earth could possibly be divided. Like with the SAU, Strategic Alliance Union, African Union, Arbrow, Oceanian. Okay, guys. Oceanian. That's a crazy word, and that doesn't seem like it is. Okay, using a mecha hand to lift someone up to paint something. What could that thing be? Okay, so we seem to be at some sort of interesting farm or something that might be related to the Christ Security Group, or now Tekadon, and maybe in terms of resources when it comes to food, feeding the soldiers. What's interesting here is, I guess Mikazuki was really just asking Kudelia out to help to get all the food or the crops or whatever. But it is a cool moment because it's kind of a time of a break of all the politics and the fighting and seeing kind of the people that are really close-knit in this family. There's a bunch of kids that really like Mikazuki. And so, again, with that kind of guntagonist, it's like we're, innocent people like them. Okay, and then they kind of answered the bracelet. Remember, Mikazuki was like kissing or sniffing a bracelet or something. I didn't understand it. And I guess it's one that this character, and I keep forgetting her name, made for him, and then she made one for herself as well. So that's kind of, again, this part of this show, man, did the world building for the world in general, but also build more of Mikazuki's character. Okay, so Sharma in their little Jeep, I guess, was driving by for some reason. I mean, they're actually looking for where the battle took place earlier that Kudelia was at, because they want to see what actually went down there. But it looked like they hit those kids. And obviously, Mikazuki didn't like it. He just picked up Garma and just was strangling him, kind of, again, showing the guntagonist's sort of tropey abilities. Char comes out to help Garma. But what's interesting is Kudelia didn't make it all the way there to see what happened, and I guess her friend, staff or someone that's with her was kind of like, no, we shouldn't go there, because she could recognize they showed the Galahorn symbol on the car, and in fact, even Biscuit, awesome name for a character, saw that too, and was kind of scared. Then they even ask about Mikazuki's back, why he's got that thing there. They're almost sizing him up, kind of realizing, okay, is this guy more than what he seems? Seems like a soldier. We're actually looking for a battle that took place around here. Maybe you would know. Hey, Char just happened to have candy in his pocket to give to some kids. I don't know what to think of that. Hey, maybe he just likes candy. But also learned that he's engaged to a 9-year-old. But hey, that's that kind of royal family sort of thing. And they're kind of showing that off here with Galahorn. Martian Joint Spaceport, Hakobune. And then there you go. There you see it, Spaceport. And there we go. That's what was going on that whole time. Making Tekkadan what it is. Now they got their plan in motion to make a name for themselves. Although it looks like Galahorn may potentially be on their trail. We'll see. Uh-oh, he's on the phone. There's something up there. All right, well, there we go. That was episode 4, and you know what? I'm really liking IBO. It's just telling some cool stories. Not only with the characters we're seeing, but also getting to know the world and what's going on there. I'm loving the pace. And I mean, this episode didn't even have mecha combat, and I didn't care. I'm telling you, I really like what IBO is doing. It's like a serious, cool sci-fi story. But I like that little guntagonist term I coined. Hopefully no one else did. I'm going to try to use that. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think below of this episode. I'm digging it. Is there anything I missed? Is there cool details about the story maybe I didn't speak on? Let me know below. And, thanks to all the supporters that make this possible. Check the links in the description below if that's something you're into. Some of the supporters and I will hang out on the weekends and watch IBO as I take notes for coverage. And sometimes, especially with the help of no one, get some good information I can think about when I'm doing this part of the show. Thanks for watching. We'll talk later. See you.